Hey guys, welcome to the sixth episode of Unboxing DevRel with none other than Vera Tiago this time, who is a developer advocate at OutSystems. I would not say just developer advocate, I think a manager developer advocate at OutSystems. Welcome to the podcast, Vera.
Thank you, Mayan. I'm so happy to be here, and I hope to be able to share some knowledge and some insights, but also learn from you. So I'm ready for your questions.
Uh, that's so humble of you that you said you could learn something from me. But yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for for being here today. We are going to simplify the word of DevRel today in this conversation. So let's see how that goes. I think your experiences, the value that you bring in, even to the other social media platforms like Twitter, that has served and that has helped the community. And today we'll try to concise it down in a half an hour session maybe, and try to bring out as much as possible from the knowledge that you have. Okay, so would you
Great,
like to
great.
introduce yourself to the audience, like telling something more about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone again. My name is Vera. I'm currently managing developer advocacy at OutSystems. So, developer advocacy is part of the developer relations practice. I am a former developer, so I started my career a while ago as a software developer. PHP was my first language. Then I did a bit
Okay.
of .NET, and I moved into this low code space. So I joined OutSystems as a senior developer, tech lead. And after, a few years later, here I am, leading developer advocacy.
Awesome. So you just try to brief it, in minimum word possible. I'll try to dig much deeper into this, and we'll ask you, how did you start off with your technical journey in the first place, and then how these transitions happened, where you started off with web development. You said you started with PHP, and then you transitioned into other tech stacks like .NET, and finally today you are in the developer space for last quite some years, right? So
Yeah.
how does like all this transition happen? Would you like to like tell us
Yeah,
some more about that?
sure, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. So probably you hear a different story from each guest that you have on the podcast. So this is my story. So first, tech space. I was in high school, and I was not sure, what I wanted to do for life. So which college or which specialization to follow. But I was quite passionate about internet, and internet was very limited resource by then. So we had a limited budget per month. We have a password, a username that you used to access, then you had to deal over the phone. So it was a mess, not like it is yes today. So by that time, I got a Trojan horse on my computer. So it means that that was a virus, and that virus allowed people to have access to my account and
Okay.
spend my internet, right? So people were, spending my budget on internet,
All right.
and I was struggling with it. So I had to fix it. So I learned a lot about web and stuff. So I decided to, okay, so this is my what I wanted to do. I want to learn more about this software world. I want to become a hacker myself, so I will study
Oh,
computers.
hacker.
A hacker, you can, because it was a hacker who did this to me, right? So
Right.
I decided to go to computer science and engineering, and then I become a developer. So that is what how I entered the tech space, essentially.
Okay. And which year are we talking about here? Like around
It
which year?
was so I entered college in 2000.
2000.
So
Okay.
it's almost
Wow.
it's 22 years actually in tech, if we count for the
Wow.
college degree plus job experience, let's say.
Okay. And how did you make the next move, like getting into the first job role? How was that?
Yeah, so I wanted to do mobile development when I finished college.
Hmm.
But then, when I started interviewing for companies, there was this company which was a creative agency. So it was mainly about designers and developers, PHP developers, and they were building really cool stuff. So I decided to join the team. Oh my God, I want to build these portals and websites. They are so cool, so fancy, because of course they had designers like
Right.
building the layout, which makes our life easier.
Definitely.
But yeah, so I decided to go, and I was there for 3 years. Then I decided that I needed a new challenge. So I wanted to learn a new language. So I applied for a different job and I changed companies. And then when I got bored again, I was okay, I need a new skill. Okay, let me
Hmm.
learn low code and out systems. I will join this company to see, how it goes. And I'm here
Okay.
for almost 10 years now.
Wow, and that's quite a long period, I would say. I have never, met too many people who have
Yeah.
worked with a certain company for this long span.
But I almost
Yeah.
forgot my life before out systems. So these kind of interviews help me to kind of remember how was my
Okay.
life before.
I would like to ask you, like, what parameters do you find in a company which makes you feel like I can stay with this one? Like you stayed with
Yeah.
OutSystem for quite long now, right?
Now,
So,
yeah. So first, so one of the things that I really enjoy about our systems is the people who works here. So we have amazing people. From the moment I joined, that I start interacting with very, very smart people, I was
mhm,
like, oh my God, I'm learning so much from everyone. Then the product. So the product itself is very different from other products that I tried. So I really enjoy, the product itself. But there's another thing, and I think that is probably the top reason, and why I'm still here. It's
mhm.
because I feel that there is still a lot to do here. So
Okay.
even if I look, a very experienced person, right? So in the DevRel for a while, I did so many things. I'm running a team, but there's so much we can do, right, for the company, that my
Right.
job is not done, and I want to do this. I want to solve this. So
It
it's
hasn't
about the
become stagnant, right?
yeah. So exactly. And besides the problems, so, right, the problems that I want to solve until I feel that my job is done is also about mobility. So I was able to jump from department to department. So
Okay.
I was a developer, I was a tech lead, I was a trainer, I was in customer success, I was in product management, right now in marketing, right? So I
Wow.
kind of, if I get bored, I can move to another into another place,
That's
and,
awesome.
and shape the things that I want to focus and work on. Right. So if
You've
you
become more of
ask
a versatile person now, I believe, as far as your professional life is concerned.
yeah. No, it's
Wow.
being a great journey so far. So that's why I'm still here.
What has changed in your professional life when you started off in your career with the very first company? At that time, what was your mindset with this industry of IT? And
Mhm.
now, how do you think about this? Like, what has been those big changes in your mindset?
Well, I think I don't know the when I entered the space, I felt it was a stable, not a stable, but it was a defined space, right? So I'm a
Okay.
Java developer, I'm a .NET developer, and that's it, right? You build your career around that expertise. You go from newbie to proficient to expert, and maybe you do the jump and you go to a people lead. So right, I was kind of imagining like a journey, right? So it was
Right.
kind of a flat journey, let's say. Today, because I feel that there's a lack of developers everywhere, so every business, every technology is struggling with the same. You keep seeing new products, new APIs, new automation coming to the space to solve
Right.
the talent gap, right? So there's not enough developers. I don't think ever will be enough developers to serve the business needs, right? So this
Hmm.
will be a challenge. So as it is a challenge that you don't see number of developers available for you to hire, companies will build products that will improve developers' productivity. And I feel the tech space right now is super busy. There's a lot of noise. I don't want to call it noise because noise
Yeah, I get it.
is a
Like
bad
it's not
thing,
in a
but
negative way, right?
it's a lot of information, and
Yeah.
that is what I think is it's the significant difference from when I started to right now is there's a lot of products out there,
Mm-hmm.
and even developers. So you don't feel that okay. A language or a stack doesn't define a developer, right? So developers right now are much more pragmatic. They use
Right.
different tools, different APIs, different automation processes. So they are much more pragmatic right now. So that is one of the biggest difference that I see,
Okay.
from those
So
times.
you also talked about this demand supply like game, right? So where do you think that the supply is like on the back foot? Why is it so, and how it can be resolved in general? Like if somebody has to be a developer ready to go to market, like go to market in the sense I'm saying, I think go to market. This term I learned when I entered into this developer advocacy space. I'm saying that ready to work with a company, what all skills somebody needs to acquire, be it any kind of developer or a person who works in this like industry.
Yeah, so I think a good developer is someone that is creative. So it's someone that likes to build things. So I would say if there's anyone wanted to enter the software development space, they are more than welcome. Actually, we are seeing a lot of people doing that transition because software development is something that you can learn at any age, right? And because
True.
there's so many opportunities out there, if you are stuck on your career and you want to do something different, the only thing that you need to start learning is a computer and internet access, right? So
That's true.
there's plenty of resources out there. It's, I would call it very easy, not very
Hmm.
easy, but of course it has a learning curve. But it's a transition that everyone can do, right? Learning a new stack, um, or learning a new language. And of course, I think people that are willing to start, they need to figure out what they like to do, right? So what kind of
Right.
things they like to build, then select the languages or the technologies and pursue a job, based on that, right? I think people need
Right.
to find their passion because what works for me probably not works for you. So people need
True.
to identify, you know, um,
And how, what do
what
you
is
think,
their
like
passion.
how much networking is important in this whole cycle?
It's very important, in particular right now, right? Because, like I said, there's plenty resources out there for you to learn. So, for example, if you do a mapping with developer relations world, there's plenty of blog posts, um, plenty of resources out there. But having this network of people that are learning with you, that you can discuss some ideas or validate your thoughts, right?
Right.
It's super important for you to keep learning. And for example, you were asking about developers and them wanting to learn as a community, right? As a peer experience, right? Let's learn together. You see that
Yeah.
under the hashtag 100 days of code. I see that's
Yeah.
amazing. Amazing movement, by the way.
True.
But yeah, but for example, I still feel that I have a lot to learn. And one of the things that I do is I go to Twitter, I tweet something that I think it's true, right? So think when I tweet about something that I think is true, what I hope to get is validation, right? So
Right.
I'm not trying to help others, or at least I hope that content also help others, but I'm trying to create a thread for people to participate and hear different thoughts about it because
Right.
I wanted to learn about that topic, but I also wanted to learn in public and generate content that other people can also learn from that, right? So I think
Hmm.
that public experience of learning in public, it's super rewarding because you are always being exposed to different ideas, different experiences,
True.
different points of view, right? So, and that is what builds knowledge. It's not just okay,
Right.
this is how you do it, right? It's okay, so I have this problem, these are the different solutions, probably this one fits me better because of this and this, right? So it's that experience of
So
learning with your peers brings you, those
Right.
advantages.
Right. How has like building in public or learning in public actually helped you? Like, can you give some examples for that?
How actually helped me? So it helps me every day because I feel like I learn in public every day. Because, like I
Uh-huh.
told you, I've been, in the same vortex for a while. So working for the same company for a while. And the only way, or one of the best ways to understand if what I'm doing is the right thing, is if I compare my work with what others are doing. So, besides
Okay.
Twitter, I also participate in other developer relations communities, not just developer relations. So, there's the DevRel collective, there's the CMX, which is more on community management, but we also have the developers piece of people that are focused on developers, and
Okay.
there's more, right? So there's the developer marketing that is mainly being so the leader is slash data, so they started the developer marketing community, so I'm part of that community as well.
Wow.
So I have my, not learning public, but I have my connections with the outside world, right? Which allow me
Right.
to go outside of my bubble, talk to
Yeah.
others about others' problems and how they are solving, or how do I think they should solve or they can solve, right? Exploring solutions together. This is what makes me learn. So it's going,
Awesome.
outside of my bubble to
Yeah.
share my knowledge, but also to hear about others' experience. So that's how I learned
Great.
my. Don't tell my secret to anyone.
Definitely.
Yeah.
You use the word developer marketing in between, right? Can you
Yeah,
simplify that word for the audience? Maybe they have some doubts regarding that.
yeah. So I can tell you what it is to me, developer
Mm-hmm.
marketing, right? I'm sure that people, do it differently, so that different companies do it differently.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, developer marketing is about understanding your target audience mainly.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it can translate into many things, right?
Right.
But to me, or the way I see it, is it like one of the fields or specialization of developer relations. So to me, developer relations is the umbrella term for different things,
Mm-hmm.
starting by developer marketing,
Okay.
developer evangelism, which is about spreading the word, developer advocacy, community management, and developer experience.
All right.
We can do an episode for each of these because you can drill down. But essentially, for developer marketing, I think it's all, everything starts with developer marketing, right? Because you
Okay.
can be a great engagement manager, you maybe enjoy talking with developers, share your knowledge, but you need to understand your audience in a more deep level. So it starts
Right.
by research, right? Defining what is, because developers is a very broad term, right? So you have
True.
enterprise developers, indie developers,
True.
open source developers, whatever. So but
Yeah.
developers get translated to many
Sub
things, right?
branches.
Yeah,
True.
so for your company, for your product, you need to understand, okay, so this is our target developers. And it starts with developer marketing, right? So first you need
Hmm.
to understand, define the persona, how you are going to explain, right, the messaging. So it's also about building the message. Are you going to explain your product to developers? And then it goes to, specific initiatives like landing page, entry hubs for developers. How do you organize, how do you expose the information that you have to those developers? Maybe it's about, okay, defining where you need to be, right? Because one of the things that I've been advocating for a while is you need to be where developers are. So, and
Okay.
what are those spaces, right? Is it Stack Overflow? Is it Reddit? Is it the developer community? Is it TechCrunch, right?
I
So
think there are some ratios in which we can divide this, right?
yeah.
Like it's not like each one of those developers are there on Stack Overflow only or some
Yeah,
other
no.
platform. So how do
Yeah.
you take that decision based on that data or what?
Yeah, so we have our developer persona data, right? So we we identify what are the characteristics of the developers that most likely will adopt our product,
Hmm.
um, and we we start building our strategy around, okay, where do we need to go to find those developers? And to be
Right.
honest, this is the work that, to me, Mayank is just started, right? So this is something that we have been struggling for a bit, which is, okay, what do we need to tackle first, right? And
Okay.
in my case, what we addressed first was building a strong community. Right now we have built a community, so people who are using our product, they are helping each other. Essentially, if a newbie goes there to the online forums and ask,
Right.
okay, how do I do this without systems, there's people replying. So we kind of creating the online community, which also runs offline. So the
Okay.
next step right now is about, we call it developers at scale, right? So how do we expose, our systems to a broader audience?
Hmm.
Because we need to do this outreach, and you know why? Because we come from a scenario where our buyer persona is not the
Hmm.
same as our end user persona. So the person who takes the decision of
Right.
using our product, because we come from enterprise
Right.
world, paid license, so it's not open source. It's not like you are a developer and right now you want to start. Of course, you have a free version, but it's
Right.
not the most common scenario. So indie
Okay.
developers are not the most, so it's not our target persona. Of course,
So it's the enterprises that.
enterprises, yeah. So imagine that
Okay.
there's an enterprise. Imagine, PayPal, right? So I was
Okay.
listening to Christina's episode. Imagine PayPal buys our product because they want to build software. So someone takes the decision, probably is the CTO, right? Okay, so let's buy this because we want to build software first. So developers are not part of the decision, right? So someone takes the decision, and
Okay.
then the developers are like, so you are telling us that we need to use this product that we didn't choose. We we have these skills, right? So so
Right.
then there's need to be, programs in place to help with that. We call it developer resistance, right? Which is
Okay.
when developers need to use your product, but it was not their choice, right? And
Okay.
we have programs to tackle that, right? But
Right.
right now, what we are trying to address is, okay, so how do we make this product appealing to developers, right?
Right.
Because if they okay, so if they see us as appealing, when someone takes the decision to buy, okay, finally someone bought this because this is great, right? So it's about increasing awareness, right? Which is something
Right.
that is really hard to measure, but we need to
Right.
work on that awareness, that outreach, but be where developers are, so that we can pull down some barriers to adoption. Let's call it adoption, right? Because as soon as the decision is made, they will
Right.
have to adopt, and maybe they will
Right.
take, a
Either they
month,
like
maybe
it or
they
not.
will take a few days. Yeah. So it's different scenarios, right? And we have
Hmm.
initiatives to tackle different scenarios. But yeah, going, being where developers are, identify what are those places according to our personas, characteristics, is something that we are really focused right now. But on a road, okay, so we don't have
Yeah.
the perfect recipe by
No, I
this
get
time.
it. I'm not even expecting you to answer a perfect formula or recipe for that because even I accept this. I think there's no recipe for these things.
Yeah.
How do you manage your time on a daily basis? Because this role of developer advocacy, I believe,
Hmm.
demands a lot from you, right?
Yeah,
You
so
have a
it
lot
is.
of things to think about. You have a lot of things to plan about. You have a lot of things to execute at the same time.
Hmm.
So, how do you figure that out for a daily basis?
Yeah, so it's hard. That is something that is really hard to manage. And even in my case, where everyone knows their responsibilities, we have different priorities. So different people have different priorities. Even, given that, we still have days that we need to do, a bunch of different stuff, right? So
Mm-hmm.
probably there's one day that I need to review the developer newsletter, all the content. Probably there's
Okay.
another day that I'm having, conversations with the management about how we need, X budget to execute this, right? It's
Okay.
it's 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 a roller coaster, but essentially my
Hmm.
days are in the mornings. So I don't have meetings in my mornings usually.
Okay.
So I want to take that time for focus time, because it's where my when my brain works better, right? So mornings is okay. So I need to have some focus time. I don't schedule meetings in my morning usually, because sometimes I have. Then the
Hmm.
afternoons is where I have one-on-ones with my team, one-on-ones with management. We have a daily scrum. I don't know.
Okay.
This is so. I don't know if you know what is it, but it comes from develop software development, the
Yeah, it's
agile
like a 10 minutes
methodology.
meeting,
Yeah, it's a 30 minutes meeting where you do a
30 minutes meeting. Okay.
check-in, right? So it's kind of okay,
Yeah.
is there any roadblock? Anyone is blocked with something? No, all is good. So let's go to work. Hope everything is okay. It's just a quick check-in. So we have this almost every day. Not every day, but almost every day. But yeah, my afternoons are back-to-back meetings, right? So it's not I usually
Okay.
say it's not about deliverables or deliver content or participating in events. It's just meetings, and then you keep all the other things
I
for
feel it.
yeah. But also as as a manager,
Yeah.
I try to combine some heavy lifting, and what I call heavy lifting is doing the same, doing what my team is doing, right? So they write content, they speak at conferences and events, community events, or third party conferences. So I also do that, but of course I don't do that all the time, because they are the ones that should shine, right? So I kind of
Right.
try to create the conditions for them to shine and
Remove
do
blockers
their
for them.
yeah. And then I'm more in on the back side, right?
Hmm.
Trying to make sure that they have all the conditions to do their work. But of course, I also join them to do some of the heavy lifting, because I enjoy that myself, and I always learn, how I can, help my team from doing those things. But yeah, so
Nice.
it's many things. It's doing,
Though
so
I
many.
didn't get like how do you manage to do all of this?
It it
But yeah,
established
I at least got the
priorities. Yeah,
context. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, the way I plan my day is I always identify, one or two top priorities for the day, and I make sure that at least I work 2 hours on that top priority, right? So okay, so I
Okay.
want to finish this talk or this workshop.
Mm-hmm.
I will make sure that is my top priority and the first thing that I address, in the morning. If, for example, I have an important meeting, which I need to negotiate something, right? Because I
Right.
have, I think there's at least two types of meetings. The one that you want to achieve something, right? You want to
Right.
get something from that meeting, right? Or is
True.
sponsorship or is alignment or whatever. And you really need to plan those, or simply because you want to not generate empathy, but kind of get in touch, right? Maintain a relationship, check in if everything is okay. For the
Right.
ones that I need to negotiate or I need to get something from that meeting, right? Imagine there is sponsorship to do a new
Mm-hmm.
initiative or to launch a new program. Those ones, for example, when I have that meeting, I make sure that prior to that meeting, I have proper time to prepare, right, with my
Okay.
arguments, with data, because something
Okay.
that you as a team lead need to also to care is about data, right? So you need to be
True.
prepared with data, because that question will come up, right? So, oh,
That's true.
so you want to launch a new program? So tell me how this will move the needle. What are the metrics
Right.
that you are impacting? And then you,
Right.
okay, let me prepare the business talk,
True. That's
right?
one of those starting questions that somebody can ask you, right? When you
Yeah.
come up with the
Hmm.
idea, right?
Yeah, no, no. Yeah, it is.
True that. And since you are a manager also, so how do you plan things for your team? And for like how long time frame do you plan it? Do you plan it for 3 months straight, or do you plan it for like what is the like
Hmm.
logic or approach behind that?
Yeah, so every quarter we plan our activities for that quarter. Okay. Of
Hmm.
course, there's some unexpected things that you need to handle. So I always ask my team for them to plan their bandwidth. So imagine that they want to do, because they are the ones that are going to tell me, okay, I want to do this, this, and this. This will take, I don't know, 60% of my time, and then the other 40% are for random stuff that appear, meetings, whatever, right? So I need
Okay.
everyone. I also actually I give that responsibility to the people. Okay, so you tell me what you think you should be doing, how many events
Mhm.
can you attend, right? How many things, and then we plan, of course, because we need to present a plan. But yeah, there's unexpected, stuff that happens. But I make sure that people are not super busy, because I see a lot of value on these unexpected opportunities, whether it's in a collaboration with, I don't know,
Right.
um, an internal team, whether is other things, right? So, for example, last week, um, something came in into our radar that I was like, oh my god, I love that.
Okay.
And fortunately, we have timed for that, which is one of our VPs reach out to us and say, oh, why don't we organize an hackathon with our community, and to build an early version of our product, something that we want to release. And I was like,
Right.
yes, let's do that. Let's,
Hmm.
let's combine the community team or the community members with the engineering team. Let's build an internal hackathon together.
Right.
And we had, that opportunity to embrace that initiative because we had the bandwidth, right? So I always try to make sure that people are not super busy, because I want
Okay.
people to have the bandwidth to think, but also to
Right.
decide in which last minute things they want to jump in.
Like you leave that time for the flexibility if you want to make
Yes.
some changes
Yes.
in the plan.
Hmm.
Okay. And as a developer advocate itself, like since you are a manager now, you think from that perspective. Being a person who has just entered into the developer advocacy space, what all things do you consider are important, you should have on the table in front of you at least? For example, you should be
Hmm.
having the objectives clear, right? There should
Hmm.
be no
Yeah.
there should be no doubts about that.
Yeah.
So I consider that is one of those things which you should know
Yeah.
beforehand. What do you think can be the other factors, or have been your considerations when you were in that position?
um, about joining the developer
When you
advocate.
just started doing advocacy, I don't think that at that time you
Yeah.
were like directly
Yeah.
the lead, right?
Yeah, no, no,
So
exactly. Yeah, it's hard to answer that question because I usually say that I didn't choose developer advocacy. Developer advocacy chose me, right? And we
right.
know we had a problem in hands to solve, which was no one knows about our product, so we need to, go and do some outreach, build a community, build many stuff, right? So
Hmm.
we basically I defined our goals, right? The things that we wanna that we
Okay.
wanna do. So I and my boss by the time we define the goals. But yeah, for someone who is starting in this role or wants to start, yeah, joining a team that has a vision, a strategy, right? What are the top goals? So one of the questions that people should make when they are trying to join a team or they are applying for a job is, so what are your top metrics, right?
Okay.
How are you going to influence that top metrics? Because you know that you have a top metric, but then there's other proxy metrics, because not every
Yeah.
initiative maps directly to your top metric, right? So
Right.
I think, knowing the vision, knowing the goals, knowing the strategy.
Hmm.
But this is what you need to know from the company or that you are working on, because if you don't
Hmm.
have that vision, you don't know the direction where you are
Right.
supposed to go, right?
Right.
And the developer relations can help in many aspects. So it can be outreach, right? It can be awareness, it can be adoption, it can be productivity, making developers more productive. It can be about
True.
product feedback, right? And you
Hmm.
need to understand as a team where you can bring more value, right? So you don't have you don't have unlimited resources, right? You need to plan. Okay,
Right.
so this is where I'm going to focus, right? And someone that wants to join the team knows that, okay, the focus is this. If I join this team, I know that I will be focused on developer experience. If I focus this, I join this team, I know that I will be focused on developer marketing and outreach. So you need to understand, the vision. Besides that, there's
Yeah.
also an important thing that think everyone should consider, which is you as a professional should look at your strengths, what are you good at,
Mm-hmm.
and what you are most passionate about, right? So what are the things that you like to do? Because
Right.
whether it's about making an internal move inside your company and you want to do this, or maybe it's you want to apply to a new job. If you want to apply, you need to understand what that job is about and how
True.
your skills will help, and if that job will make you happy, right? Because developer relations, again, it can be many things, right? So you need to
It's
understand
a
what you
it's a
what you
huge
want to do.
field, I think. Like I was thinking when you were saying that, there's a developer experience team, you have to align with that. Then there is a developer marketing team. Like there are a lot of sectors which are defined under DevRel, or you would
Hmm.
say, I don't know what the term should be used for a parent branch for it, but yes, there are a lot of sub branches. One of them is DevRel, definitely.
Hmm.
So what is DevRel then? Because DevRel developer marketing is separate, as you just mentioned when we were talking about this. Developer experience is also not a part of just DevRel. Then what is DevRel?
Yeah, I would say DevRel is a mindset.
A mindset,
Is
okay,
a mindset of trying to get developers to be successful with our product, right? um and starting
is
with
it is it like
developer.
is it like customer success then?
Maybe it's a new name. It's interesting that it's interesting that you ask this, because just a random note, but the other day I was talking with someone that was asking the same question, and he was like,
Okay,
is this so DevRel is there's a hype about DevRel right now. Everyone
right,
talks about DevRel, but maybe something like customer success. A few years ago, it was all about customer success, right? Maybe this is the new customer success.
maybe,
Maybe it is, right? If you consider your
yeah,
customer the developer,
yeah,
it's about developer success, right? And
yeah,
starting by taking informed decisions, right? So like I said, there's many products out there. Um, and probably your product is not for that type of developer to solve that specific use case, and
yep,
developers need to be empowered with information, and part of the work that we do is spread the information about how developers can or not leverage your product. Probably, okay,
true,
you are into gaming industry, so maybe our product is not for you because
yeah,
we don't do that job great. But yeah, if you are going to this industry, maybe we have a good fit, right? So it's about spreading information. And when the developers take the decision to adopt your product, it's to make that experience smooth, right? So they should be able to start to register in your API or your products, start playing around, create a sandbox, building something meaningful in minutes, right? Because right now the
right,
market is required. Okay, I want to build a sample. I don't have 1 week to spend learning this technology. I just want to do it. Just tell me the recipe for me to start doing, right? So there's this pressure
right.
about bringing value as soon as possible.
Hmm. Okay.
So it can be customer success, but developer success.
Developer success. When the customer base is developers, then you
Yeah.
come towards the side of developer relations. Then,
Yeah.
all right, sorted. What do you think is important as a developer advocate? Because when I entered into this space, I used to think that it is all about content creation, and there is a lot of fuss about the same on even Twitter. I would
Mhm.
not say that it is misleading, but you would find that if somebody is new into this space, he or she would find that it is all about creating content and being out there, right?
Mhm.
Whereas I recently kind of realized or discovered that that is just one small part of it. It's mainly about knowing your customer, which is
Mhm.
developers. It's mainly about understanding how do they feel about the product that they are using, like that you are providing, and then getting some information out of that, doing some calculations on that information, and making your like internal team much more informed about it, like what
Mm-hmm.
all we can do much better, or what all things we have found we can do, so that we can make the other ends, which is developers life, easy, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I think data is the king in that. It's not our skill of creating content, or talking to people, or maybe anything like that. I think data is what is, I would say, the most highlighted thing for me overall.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this?
Yeah. So yeah, data is super important, right? Because you may have a perception of how your programs are helping or not in solving the problem that you are trying to solve, but you
Yeah.
need to have evidence that this is actually working, right? So yeah, if you have data dashboards in place, to handle that, it would be, it is something super valuable for someone doing this job. Because I don't think everyone understands how powerful this can be, right? Even when you are building your arguments, because you always need to build your arguments about
Right.
explaining what you are doing is the most important thing that you can be done, and what is the impact that you can bring, right? So there's was a thread, I don't know, someone started a thread today on Twitter about OKRs and North Stars, and how you can cheat, and
Okay.
and if you kind of don't define or don't measure the right things,
Right.
it will be a mess, right? And I
True.
just posted a reply saying, okay, being busy doesn't is different from impact. So, and
Ah.
we are very good. So because we are, I usually say we are engagement specialists, right? So everyone in
Right.
DevRel wants to engage, wants to go and jump into conversation. So we are very expert in being busy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we need to
Mm-hmm.
develop our skill about impact. So there's a combination of, okay, so I like to do this, I like to engage in meaningful conversations. That's fair, right? But how I'm spending my time is impacting the things that I want to impact, right? And sometimes
Right.
it's kind of, you need to disconnect. Okay, so right now I'm the Vera who is speaking about development and cloud native and stuff, right? Tech stuff.
Right.
And the other month I was like looking to my dashboards, my spreadsheet. Okay, so we were doing this and we got X signups. So this is
Right.
pretty pretty
Like that
cool or not, right? Or
metric.
pretty
That metric
disappointing.
is the fact check at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, yeah,
A kind of
it
reality
is. It
check.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I don't say that everything that you do, because there's the opposite, right? There's people that are super focused on metrics, and then you lose the opportunity of investing in building those relationships, learning
True.
more about the field. When I say field, is about different developer communities, right?
Right.
So not everything can be measured, right? So
Right.
but what I usually say is, okay, so if you are doing things that are having an impact and you can prove them with data, you also get credits, right? You gotta get, okay, you
Right.
get the trust to do
Right.
things that are not measurable, right? Because you need to combine both. There are things that are going to
Right.
impact. There are things that just you need to do because you are want to learn. We want to kind of experiment things, right? Because experimentation is also very powerful. I always say that, okay, before we launch a thing, let's test it out, right? Without huge commitment, we don't need to have all the resources. Let's just test it out before we make it the
How
thing.
long should that experiment last? Like, if that
Uh,
experiment takes your 1 month, then
yeah, it
how
depends
much
on the
of time?
experiment and how big it is, right? And sometimes it's not just the right timing.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so it's fair to assume, okay, so this is a good idea. Right now, this didn't work because this of this, right? And it may relate it to the product itself, right? So imagine that
Right.
you want to test something, okay, but the product onboarding is not ready for this type of experience, so we should provide that feedback, and let's see, maybe in 2 quarters we try this again, right? um
Hmm.
so yeah, it depends, right? So sometimes, yeah, so I would say at least 1 quarter, right? So okay, so when we are
Right.
planning for, because we plan on a quarterly basis, like I said,
Right.
so we do our plan for the quarter, but we also keep some room for unexpected things. But yeah, when we
Right.
are planning, assuming, okay, so we, for example, we want to test Twitch as a platform to spread the word.
Okay.
So let's do some stuff, right? Let's
Right.
see who is inside can collaborate with us. It's the social
Hmm.
team, is more other teams in marketing. Let's see, right?
Right.
Let's
Right.
test this for a quarter, and then we take the decision if this is something that you want to keep or not, right?
Hmm.
So at least one quarter, I would say, is enough to run an experiment, and probably by the end of the quarter, you learn, okay, so this didn't work, but probably if you had this and this, right, this can work, right? It's about adding variables and
Then
learning.
again, it's an experiment, but this time you are much more informed,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So it's another
Hmm.
experiment the next month, but the next quarter. But yeah, it's about, okay, so now I have this knowledge. I'm ready to
You've
kind of
learned
try
something from
this.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, for
that's
sure.
so true. How should a solo developer advocate go about these things? If suppose we are only talking about teams which are managing all of this, and I
Hmm.
think in a team you can easily, I would not say easily, it's a tough job to even manage things.
Hmm.
So, but still you have the bandwidth to assign certain things to each one of the team members.
Hmm.
If all those responsibility come on the shoulder of a single devrel, then how should
Yeah.
he or she go about it?
Yeah, no, I can tell you, I don't know if this is the best solution, but I can tell you how I did, because I was a solo developer relations person when I started.
Uh-huh.
I can tell you what we did. So
Okay.
when I started, we had many ideas, right? So we wanted to bring feedback to the product to make a better product. We want to bring more awareness to the product. We wanted to create a vibrant community, vibrant and helpful
Okay.
community. So we wanted to do, a lot of stuff. And when I say we, because my boss hired me,
Yeah.
and then
That means.
you
Yeah.
go and figure out those things, right?
Right.
So we kind of created our strategy, our vision, so the things that we wanted to address. Um, but part of my job was doing what needed most attention by that time, and that was helping others on forums. So we had
Mm-hmm.
a public forum that we launched
Mm-hmm.
for our customers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And developers that were using our product were doing questions there. So
Okay.
essentially, my job, or the heavy part of my job, was replying, because I was a developer myself. So I was able to answer the questions. Where I didn't know, I was, I reached other teams inside, like engineering teams, the ones that were building the product. Oh, this person is trying to do an integration. I don't have
Okay.
experience with that. Can you, help? So essentially, I was spending my time mostly on, addressing the things that need more attention. It was supporting the developers that were part of our community, right? And then, the other piece was, okay, how can I scale my efforts, right? How can I,
Hmm.
okay, how can I, because
Be a
I'm only one, right?
superstar developer. Right.
How can I involve this, right? And by the
Right.
time, what really worked for us was, okay, let's build a champions program, a developer champions
Okay.
program. And it's something that you
Okay.
see right now, in a lot of community, which is, okay,
Yeah. That's
let's
quite
bring
common
the,
now.
yeah, the most enthusiastic members, the most active, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's nurture them. Let's bring them closer to us, being part of our extended team, like them
Yes.
feeling part of the team. Um,
Just
so,
like if you have heard this AWS community builder
mhm.
kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I think so. I
That's
would
the
say
case if you
so.
haven't tried.
Imagine the, I don't know. Do you know the Microsoft MVPs, or?
Yes. Yes. I've heard
Okay,
that.
so
Yeah.
Microsoft MVPs are a different level, but
Okay.
so just to kind of get into more details of how we started. We basically we recognize our top community contributors as MVPs.
Okay.
We created this specific program to recognize them, so that they become, go-to people in the ecosystem, and
Mm-hmm.
they, in return, we give them recognition and access to our internal teams. So
Okay.
suddenly we had from one person we had more people helping on forums,
Oh,
going to
nice.
events, organizing meetups, because we wanted to do different things. So it was not about developer support, replying on forums, but also hosting meetups
Okay.
on the cities, right, on different cities.
Yeah.
We
Nice.
also,
That's a nice
yeah,
approach.
so they were the team or the backbone that allow us to scale, because as soon as we got more manpower on it,
Yeah.
right, we started to see more results. And
True.
if you have results, you can prove, okay, if you had more people to the team, this is what you can achieve, right? So you do the math and
Hmm.
then, right? So creating that stable or that backbone, right? So the champions program was something that allowed us to scale our team to the point that
Okay.
we are today. So because they
That's
were,
quite interesting. Like, I would like to go into some details of it if you would like to share. Like, how do you build trust in that case? Like, if you recognize certain people
Mhm,
which are like very interested in your product, and then you assign them a certain role, right? Okay, you
mhm,
are our champions, like out
mhm.
system champions, maybe,
Yeah,
which you have
it's
named it.
not. We have currently we have two programs. We have the MVPs and we have the champions.
Okay. So how do you
Different
build
from.
that trust between all of those guys which you have selected, and even not just about in between them, but also between you as a company and between like
Mhm.
both these guys? Like
Yeah,
how does that happen?
yeah. So it's like any relationship. It's
Hmm.
about finding the right balance between give and take,
Okay.
right? And what we gave or what we give right now is essentially recognition, right? So they are recognized. So that brings them benefits on the ecosystem if they want to
Right.
change jobs. So they
True.
are people that are recommended by us like experts in the product, right? So
Okay.
they will gain more visibility inside. So that right now we have, this hype of, everyone, okay, how can I turn this person into an MVP or into an OutSystems champion? Because they really want that recognition. But it's not
Right.
just about recognition, right? Of course, all
Right.
people love to be recognized, and they should. If they are good, they should be recognized.
Right.
But also having access to our internal teams, this is something very valuable to them,
Yeah,
right?
that's quite big. I think like I don't know about every company, but with Apple, I have seen this. If you have access to talk to Apple engineers, actually,
Hmm.
then it's a big thing for any iOS developer, right?
Yeah.
You're
No,
actually talking to people who have built something which you are using. So
no,
it's, I think, more of like
exactly.
that.
Yeah, and that is more than enough, motivation for those people, because if they are working with your product, they probably are very passionate about your product. They want to have a voice, right? And
Right.
having that direct connection with the person who build the product, right? With the
Hmm.
people, with the team that builds the product, will make you be able to influence the product roadmap. So actually how we see these people right now is roadmap influencers, right? Because they are the power users. We call it the power users. They are very
Okay.
expert with the product. So yeah, so like I said, giving and take, right? So give
Right.
recognition, but also getting their help, in helping growing and supporting the community. And right now
Mhm.
it kind of feels like a family, right? So we have
Yeah.
actually a Slack workspace where we have everyone,
Okay.
this group and the internal teams, and it's almost like we are just one team, right? It's not about
Okay. That's nice.
staff and non-staff. It's an ecosystem or a community, like you
The
you
single
want to
unit.
call it. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, that builds a lot of value as well as trust, and also the objective which we guys
Mhm.
have with these kind of initiatives that also get fulfilled, which
Yeah.
is great. Hmm. What resources would you like to recommend to anyone who wants to excel in the developer advocacy space, or maybe not just resources, what
Hmm.
certain things they can practice to keep evolving as a developer advocate? What
Hmm.
would you like to suggest?
Yeah, I would say, um, start with building your connections right? So start building your community, right? Because community is about that, is about you
Hmm.
finding your people. And maybe you as a person, you have different communities, right? Maybe,
Right.
you are a parent and you have, a community which is about other parents that live in your local community, but then you have your job, and then we have other professionals that inspire you. So I would say that, yeah, so build your network, and that this can be done by, social networks, but also attending events, writing your content, right, exposing what you know, even if you are a newbie,
Hmm.
or if you are trying to enter the developer relations space, write about it, because you'll get opinions and feedback,
Right.
right? So build your presence online, right? Let's leverage the new world that we have where everything goes
True.
online. Let's build your
True.
presence online, because resources, there are plenty of resources, right? Whether is
Hmm.
books, so that you can start by books. There are very good books out there, um, but also, the this type of content that you are hosting, Mayan, it's how you get things summarized, right? Or
Yeah.
how you can get, the fastest way to get knowledge. Because, okay, so you have some ideas from these conversations. Okay, let me deep dive into this topic, right? Oh, Vera talked about developer champions programs. Let me know
Okay.
what is out there, who is doing this, who is doing right, who is doing wrong, what
Or
evidence.
maybe contact you on Twitter and get some more insights on that and
Yeah,
try experimenting.
yeah,
It's more of like it's that simple these days,
yeah,
right?
yeah, it is because people are just out there, right? So
Yeah.
you can engage in conversation, ask questions, right? um so yeah, I would say just put yourself out there, start
Awesome.
engaging with others like you, see what are the communities that work, best for you, and want to, engage in conversations. So, because I love learning in public, so do a
And
commitment
please
with
follow
yourself to
Vera.
learn.
She keeps sharing a lot of valuable content on her Twitter profile. So I'll provide the link in the description. You can just go and follow her right away.
Yeah, I'm happy to reply to any questions that I get. So feel free to reach out.
Definitely. What like advice would you like to give to anyone who is currently listening to this podcast, or maybe is a developer advocate himself or herself, or is a developer in general? What advice do you have for them?
Always stay true to yourself. Um, Probably, there will be many people trying to influence what you do, what the direction should take. And probably it is what it is, right? So when you move to one job to another, or from departments in your company, and maybe you need to refocus,
Yeah.
it's okay to refocus and try new things, but always stay true to yourself. Because the most successful developer advocates that I know, they keep an authentic voice, right? And maybe sometimes they need to
Yeah.
participate on an event that, okay, I don't see the point. I'm going to participate, but I will give my best giving that contest. But don't try to be someone that you are not, because developers will notice that that is
True.
that is not real, right? So it's about keeping your authentic voice. I think is one of the most important things.
That's how sensitive this developer marketing
Yeah,
is.
it is. And if it sometimes it's just the case, okay, you bring me a subject, right?
Right.
Kubernetes. And I was like, "Ugh, I can't have a conversation about that. I'm sorry. So can we talk about something else?" Like it's about
Right.
being authentic. Okay, I know
Right.
or maybe you can share what you know about it, but tell me
True.
more about it, right? Because it's not just about speaking or making yourself being heard. It's also about listening, right? So it's
Right.
let's have the conversation. If you are not ready to talk about the topic, let's have the conversation and learn from that person, right? It's about
Right.
keeping genuine interest in the conversation. So yeah, just be authentic and be yourself. That is my advice.
That's an awesome advice. Even I'll follow that. What advice do you have the 18-year-old version of Vera?
Oh my God. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. 18 version.
Maybe let's increase this, maybe 22,
I
23.
don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I would of course, experience and those years bring you
I
more
think you need
knowledge
a
too.
long holiday break.
Yeah, maybe. Exactly.
Right.
Probably, or maybe it's about things. Sometimes I used to stress about things that are not meaningful, right? This is about, okay,
Right.
relax and enjoy the ride. You are not going to solve things overnight,
True.
right?
True.
If
That's
you are
true.
here, if this is hard, that's why you are here, to solve things. So don't rush.
Yeah.
Just go do your best, learn about the problem, and just do your job, because sometimes you have that pressure to, okay, let's fix it, let's do this. Just do your job, right? And
Exactly.
things go will go right.
Awesome. But you didn't give any like advice.
No, no, it's just about it's about just enjoy the
Yeah.
ride and be
Yeah.
more relaxed, let's say, to my whole
Awesome.
self.
Awesome. Great to know. All right, then I think we can sum up this conversation here. I believe that we have tried our best to simplify not just the word of DevRel, but a lot of things related to developer
Hmm.
space today. And for me personally, it was very valuable. I don't know about you guys who are watching this, but yes, for me it was like gold, as Vera said some time back. So yes, guys, if you like this episode, then please give it a like. There's a button like this, and also please follow Vera. I'll just provide her social handles in the description down below. Also, if you feel like, you can follow me, and yeah, subscribe to the channel for more such episodes coming up in the future. And on that note, thank you so much, Vera, for being my guest today. um, I don't have really many words to say. I have said it all, I think.
Thank you so much, Mayan. I had a great time. I hope I was able to share some insights for everyone who wants to start in this journey or is going through this journey and just want to be better. Feel free, like Mayan said, feel free to reach out to me, no matter if it is on Twitter, or just drop your comments in the video, because this will allow other members to also learn from your questions.
True.
And probably they have the same questions, maybe they have different questions, but also, oh, that's a good question, right? I will make sure that I keep an eye on the feed and to see if what questions come in. um, but yeah, so subscribe the channel, and also follow me and Mayan. We are here to help and also learn from everyone who is joining this
True.
world.
Learn and grow together is more of
Yeah,
like that.
learn
That's
and
the
grow
motto.
together.